Hello and welcome. I am the Letter Hack, and this is a pre taped video to cover some things that I didn't get to on the most recent live stream. You know me, I'll never leave you hanging. Also, I'll never miss the opportunity to talk more about comic books, and that's what we're going to talk about now. I want to review some comics that I've been reading. On this show, I always recommend comics to my guests at the end of the interviews. That's to get them into comics and to learn more about the medium and to explain to people that comics aren't just capes and masks and superheroes and what you might see at the movie theater. I also have a lot of comic book fans in the chat and hanging out during the live stream, and members of the community actually make comic books. I make comic books. And so I'm going to start segueing into a lot more comic book oriented stuff. But and we're not going to leave out all the politics and the media, political media folks altogether. You'll see what I mean as we get into it. And just a quick note: hang out to the end of this video, or I guess you could fast forward if you want to, because we're going to be talking about the upcoming interview schedule, and there'll be a little bit more explanation on what I'm talking about then. Okay, let's get into it. Check this out. That Texas Blood. What you're looking at here are the covers for the first 3 volumes. There's a lot of material for That Texas Blood already, and so this will keep you busy for a little while. Artist Jacob Phillips and writer Chris Condon broke onto the scene with this ongoing series described as a mature neo-Western crime story. Now, I know I have a lot of parents in the community here, and I want to let you know I'm not recommending any comic books that are age appropriate for kids. As always, go to your local comic shop, ask them to see that section or to recommend some books, and if they're worth their salt, they'll be able to hook you up. In the meantime, this book is perfect for literally everyone else. Things kick off when the search for a casserole dish leads to a dark and tense confrontation on Sheriff Joe Bob Coates' 70th birthday. So this is one of those stories that's been compared to things like the movie No Country for Old Men, where the world is passing by an aging law enforcement officer. And I don't want to tell you too much more than that. It is gritty. It is violent. It is great Texas noir. And when it comes to the genre of noir, you have different subgenres. You have West Coast noir. You have East Coast noir. You have these Southern gothics like That Texas Blood that are very much Texas noir. It's classic. It's gritty. You can see Sean Phillips in Jacob Phillips's work. Now, who's Sean Phillips? Well, there's a book out there called Criminal. It's wildly popular and award winning. It's by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, and Jacob Phillips has been coloring Criminal recently. Now, I say that you can see some of his dad's work in his art, but what I mean by that is it's in the way that you can see, you can tell that somebody is someone's son or daughter. They look like their parents, but they're their own original person. And that's what you get here. So Jacob Phillips is handling all of the art chores and he's doing it masterfully. It's fantastic. I highly recommend this book. Um, and once you get through this, and even if you don't read this, you should know that Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips are doing even more in the same universe as That Texas Blood, although it's an all new story and you can jump right in. So if you've read That Texas Blood, that your knowledge of that comic will enrich this reading experience, although you can read this on its own. That the Enfield Gang Massacre is classic Western. Now, I was talking about different genres in comic books. There's war, wrestling, superhero, noir, pirate. You see a lot more of some of those than others, but Western is one that I always pay attention to. It's a very, very fun genre to read, especially in comics. And it starts with the cover. Here's a triptych of the first 3 issues that makes one image. Now, I haven't seen issue 4, but hopefully they keep that going because I think that's a neat idea. And the art style is a lot different on the cover than the inside, although it's the same artist. He's very versatile, not unlike his father. But being able to paint and then do traditional pencil and pen on the interiors is pretty cool, and it creates a diversity that keeps the reader engaged. A lot of times people use completely different artists on the cover, and that's fine. But I like when it's the same artist just using a different style. So the Enfield Gang Massacre, in the same universe as that Texas Blood, but it's its own story, so you can jump right in here. I've read issue 1. That's the only one that's out so far. It's great. I would recommend trying to track that down quickly before you can't. Inevitably, all books are collected into trade paperbacks. They usually do like a hardback edition first and then a trade paperback later on that's more affordable. Just like that Texas Blood. Those were the first 3 trade paperbacks, the first 3 volumes. And so this is a 6-issue series that will likely be collected on its own. But hey, why wait? Check it out now. Next up, Spencer Ackerman makes comics. National security journalist and reporter, author of Reign of Terror. You've probably seen him interviewed on the Majority Report, the Insurgents podcast. You've probably read his work. You probably know his name. You've probably bought his book. Now you can buy his comic books. He's writing for DC Black Label, Waller versus Wildstorm. Waller is Amanda Waller of the Suicide Squad. You'll know her from those Suicide Squad movies, but also the comic books. DC Black Label is a reminder. They specialize in providing unique, edgy, and provocative standalone stories that aren't necessarily part of the regular continuity. These books are also 8 inches by 10 inches, which are slightly larger in a cool way. They feel very very pulpy, but they're slightly larger than standard American comic book size. And so if you get them from a comic shop, go ahead and ask if they have the backboards and the plastic sleeves that all comics are kept in, custom to that size, so you don't have to track that down on your own. Waller versus Wildstorm is a 4-issue limited series published by DC Black Label. It stars Amanda Waller and Stormwatch. Stormwatch is a United Nations sponsored team of superheroes in the Wildstorm universe. The Wildstorm universe is separate from DC, but now they're merging, and led by the mysterious Weatherman. This is a very good, real world feeling book. Now, I'm not knowledgeable on things like foreign affairs and espionage and all of that, but the dialogue and the aspects of the story that are more centered around those topics feel very authentic to me. It doesn't feel gimmicky. It doesn't feel phony or put on. It feels like it could be pulled from real life or from the headlines, as they say. So anyway, I'm not going to talk too much more about this. These are the covers for the first 3 issues. Issue 3 will be out by the time we actually get Spencer Ackerman on the show for an interview, which will be September 25th. So I'm going to have him on to talk about this. And more on that in a moment. For now, I want everyone to check out the letterhack.weebly.com. Now, if you scroll down into the description of this video, you'll see a link to this. I'm doing comic book reviews and interviews. I'm starting out slow, no rush, but we're going to eventually go big. Here's the thing. I used to review comic books and do interviews pretty much full time about 5 years ago, and I loved it, but I didn't have time for it. I had to do a bunch of other stuff. Now I have time for it again, and so I'm getting back into it. So I'm getting solicitations in advance from publishers, and the first 3 are up now at the website. Go to theletterhack.weebly.com, click on comic book reviews, and then when you get to the end of one, hit previous. Get to the end of that, hit previous. You can always just go to the archive link on the right side of the page. Even better, follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm going to be posting links to all of the new reviews and interviews as I finish them. They'll be reposted by the publishers and the creators. Hopefully, they already are. And so if you're following me on social media, you'll be able to see them as soon as they're available. And then, give them a read. It's nothing too major. It's not going to take a lot of your time. And if you're into comics, you'll maybe, find out about some stuff that you didn't know about previously. If you're not into comics, I'll be sure to mention if it's a good jumping on point for someone who's just getting into the medium. Rest assured, that's like something that I really enjoy doing, is letting people know, if you don't read comics, I'd recommend this. If you do, this one's been going on for a while. There's going to be a lot of catching up to do. Maybe not the best one to jump in on, but there's plenty of stuff out there for new readers to the medium and to these individual series. Blacksmith is one that I reviewed last week. That just came out on Wednesday, August 23rd. Armored is a new 5-issue series. It's being crowdfunded. This is what I like about this. Now there's a lot of professional comic book makers working on this book. You can see the cover here is by Jay Lee. There's a lot of covers because when it's a Kickstarter, there's a bunch more perks. There's different levels you can get in on. There's different art you have access to, and there's a bunch of add-ons. It's more than just a comic. So I highly recommend checking out Armored. Go to theletterhack.weebly.com, read the review, and in the review twice, you'll see a link to that Kickstarter and you can check it out. Also, just follow me on social media and I linked up to it there as well. The third review that we have up right now is for a comic book that just finished, The Gimmick. This is the cover to the 6th and final issue. Great comic. It's about a super-powered wrestler. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's a really, really well done comic. And if you missed out on the previous 5 issues, don't worry. Like I said, they always seem to collect these things at some point. But you might be able to find all 5 issues. So, talk to your local comic shop, and they should be able to hook you up. But that's theletterhack.weebly.com. I'm going to be doing interviews in writing, not just video, live video interviews like I always do. We're going to be doing some in writing too, so Q&As. So be on the lookout for all of that. It's going to be fun. I'm already really enjoying myself, so it doesn't even feel like work at the moment. Speaking of interviews, here's the upcoming schedule. Monday night, August 28th, 9 p.m., we have a premiere video interview and drawing with Crystal Ball. I'm very excited about this. Now, we're going to record it earlier in the day and premiere it at 9 o'clock. So I'll be in the live chat with everybody hanging out. Then Wednesday, we have another one with Mark Tweedale. Now, Mark's in Australia. So I got to record this the day before and then premiere it. There's some scheduling to do here, right? You got to work out the time. I don't want to bug Mark at work, and I don't want to have to talk to him in the middle of the night for either of us. So we're going to record that the day before and premiere it at 8. Now, that is going to be a very comic book centric conversation. You'll see, but take my word for it. Mark Tweedale knows more about comics than the majority of the people I've ever talked to about it. And that's saying something. And so you're going to have to tune in for that, because we're not just going to talk about specific comic books. Don't worry. It's not going to be a conversation. It's totally over everyone's head. We're going to talk about comics in general. And we're going to talk about what makes them so special to us and to everyone else. And then we got your old pal, Jake, from What You Can Do YouTube channel. What You Can Do is one of these shows that covers the news, covers certain issues, and then Jake tells you what you can do about it. And so I had a recent caller who wanted to talk about gerrymandering, and I didn't feel like I was up to speed on the topic and as informed as I should be in order to talk about it. And so the interview with Jake is going to be split between the interview and a discussion about gerrymandering and what you can do. So that's going to be a good one. Then we have Box Brown. Box Brown, comic book maker. Box has a new comic book, The He-Man Effect. The He-Man Effect. How American toy makers sold your childhood. And they did. It's all in the book. We're going to have him on to talk about that. It's more comics, but you see what I mean? It's an issue that's relevant to things we talk about here, like capitalism. And then we have Kalanji Changa from Black Power Media and a lot of other things. This gentleman has so much going on in the world of activism. I cannot wait to talk to him about it. He also has recent articles on Cop City in Atlanta, Georgia. They're a few weeks old, but that topic is going to remain relevant, unfortunately. And so we want to get his perspective on that and talk to him about those articles. And then, as I was mentioning before, Spencer Ackerman will come on to talk about Waller versus Wildstorm, and I'm very excited about that. I love it when people segue from whatever kind of writing they do into comics. And I want to know what that's been like for him, and I want to know if he's got more in store for us. And so that's on September 25th. We're rounding out the month. So there you go. We may add a few more interviews in there. There's a couple of dates that are either going to be call-in shows or more live interviews or more pre-recorded interviews. But like I said, if you follow me on social media, you'll be able to keep track of all this stuff. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you aren't already, and check out the community tab. I'm pretty good about posting reminders and updates and schedules there. And after you subscribe, why not become a member? Go to the homepage and click join, or scroll down into the description of this video and click the become a member link. There's multiple levels. Pick the one that's right for you. They all have perks. Some of them have original art. And it's just another way to increase engagement and grow the community here at the Letter Hack. And so I thank you for that in advance. And you never know, you could be gifted a membership just by hanging out in the chat. So we'll see you Monday night with Crystal Ball, and then we'll see you Wednesday with Mark Tweedale, and then we'll see you the very next Monday after that, because Mondays are back.